Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a woman who moves through her day without the familiar comfort of a friend's laughter, without the encouraging words of someone who believes in her potential, and without the shared victories and solace of mutual understanding. It's not a picture of failure or weakness, it's a reflection of isolation. And that isolation, though silent, carries weight. It erodes confidence, dims ambition, and dulls the shine of what could be a radiant life. You see, life is a collection of relationships. The people we let into our lives become mirrors, reflecting our strengths, revealing our blind spots, and sometimes challenging us to be more. But without those mirrors, it's easy to lose perspective. It's easy to start believing that you are less than you are, or worse, that you're entirely alone in the journey. Now, this isn't about pity. This is about awareness. A woman without friends doesn't lack because she's incapable. She lacks because she's been unseen, misunderstood, or perhaps even undervalued. Maybe life has presented challenges, hard times that made her retreat, or experiences that taught her to distrust. But let me tell you something, no wall is so high, no fear so deep that it cannot be overcome with effort and intention. And effort is the key. If you're that woman, let me ask you, what seeds are you planting? Are you reaching out? Are you smiling first? Are you listening more than you speak? The world is full of people who are searching for connection just like you, but you must make the first move. Loneliness is not a permanent state, it's a call to action. For those of us who see that woman in our lives, a neighbor, a coworker, even the woman we pass by in the park, what are we doing? Are we making room for her in our circles? Are we showing her that she matters? Because sometimes all it takes is one gesture, one invitation, one moment of kindness to turn a lonely existence into a flourishing one. We often underestimate the power of friendship. It's not just about having someone to spend time with. It's about having a partner in growth, a teammate in life, someone who pushes you forward when you feel like standing still. It's about knowing that someone is in your corner, cheering for you, even when you're doubting yourself. So let us remember this, every single one of us has the ability to change that story. If you're that woman, take the first step toward building a community. If you know that woman, extend your hand. Together we can transform loneliness into connection, silence into laughter, and isolation into a shared journey worth celebrating. The absence of friends in a woman's life often begins subtly. It might start with a season of change, a move to a new city, the end of a relationship, or the loss of a loved one. Change, while necessary, can sometimes isolate. And if that isolation isn't confronted, it starts to take root. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and before you know it, the habit of loneliness sets in. It's not always intentional. Sometimes it's just the natural result of prioritizing other things, family, career, or personal struggles, while neglecting the need for connection. But let me tell you this, neglecting connection is like neglecting the soil in your garden. Even if you have the seeds of potential, without the nourishment of companionship, growth becomes stunted. The woman with no friends might find herself caught in a loop of doubt, wondering, what's wrong with me? Why don't I have the kind of relationships that others seem to enjoy? This self-questioning can spiral into self-criticism, and before long, it feels safer to retreat than to risk rejection. And yet the irony is that connection is what we're wired for. It's what brings out the best in us. It's what helps us navigate the storms of life and celebrate the sunshine. Without friends, life becomes a solo performance. But life was never meant to be lived alone. It's meant to be a symphony where each person contributes their unique melody to the greater harmony. Now let's pause and consider something important. This isn't about quantity. It's not about having hundreds of acquaintances or a bustling social calendar. It's about quality. A single genuine friendship can outweigh 1,000 superficial interactions. It's about having that one person who understands your struggles without you having to explain, who celebrates your wins as if they were their own, and who reminds you of your worth on the days you forget it. But how does a woman with no friends get there? How does she move from a place of loneliness to a place of connection? The first step is recognizing that friendship isn't something that just happens. It's something you cultivate. Think of it like planting a tree. You start with a seed, an introduction, a conversation, a shared moment. Then you water it with time, with effort, with consistency. Over time, that tree grows roots and branches, and eventually it bears fruit. It's about taking small, courageous steps. Maybe it's joining a group that shares your interests, volunteering in your community, or simply saying hello to the woman sitting alone at the cafe. It might feel awkward at first. It might even feel risky. But remember, every great friendship began as a simple hello, the magic lies, and what happens after that. And here's another truth: building friendships requires vulnerability. It requires letting down your guard, showing your true self, and being open to both giving and receiving. This is where many people struggle. They fear being judged, being misunderstood, or being hurt. But vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength. It's saying, this is who I am, and I'm inviting you into my world. It's through vulnerability that trust is built, and trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. Now let's flip the perspective for a moment. Maybe you're not the woman with no friends. Maybe you're someone who feels surrounded by love and support. If that's you, consider this: how often do you look beyond your circle? How often do you notice the woman who seems to be walking through life alone? It's easy to overlook her. She might not stand out. She might even seem like she's got it all together. But loneliness often wears a mask. And sometimes all it takes to change her story is for someone like you to notice, to reach out, to say, you're welcome here. Every time you extend kindness, you create a ripple effect. That ripple might lead to a smile, a shared laugh, or even a lifelong friendship. You have no idea the impact you can have by simply being open and inclusive. And when you do, you don't just change her life, you enrich your own. Let's not forget the role of forgiveness, both toward others and ourselves. Many times, the absence of friends is tied to past hurts, misunderstandings, or betrayals. Holding on to those hurts is like carrying a heavy backpack. It weighs you down and keeps you from moving forward. Forgiveness isn't about condoning the wrongs done to you. It's about freeing yourself from their grip. It's about making space for new relationships to flourish. There's also a lesson in gratitude. Even in loneliness, there's something to be grateful for: the lessons you've learned, the resilience you've built, the opportunity to start anew. Gratitude shifts your perspective. It helps you see possibilities where you once saw obstacles. And when you approach life with gratitude, you attract people who share that same positive energy. In this journey from isolation to connection, patience is key. Friendships don't happen overnight. They take time, just like anything worth having. There will be moments when you feel discouraged, when the effort seems too great, when you question whether it's even worth it. But let me assure you it is, because the reward of genuine friendship is one of life's greatest treasures. Imagine the transformation: the woman who once walked alone, now surrounded by people who uplift her, who challenge her to be better, who remind her of her value every single day. That's not just a dream, it's a reality waiting to be created. And it starts with a choice to step out of comfort zones, to let go of fears, and to believe that connection is possible. Life is too short to spend it in solitude. Every woman deserves a circle of friends who make her feel seen, heard, and valued. And every one of us has the power to be that friend to someone else, so let's not wait. Let's take the steps today to build a life rich with connection, understanding, and love. The journey might not be easy, but I promise you, it will be worth it. Let's explore the depths of what it truly means to live a life without the warmth of friendship. Not from a place of judgment, but from a space of understanding. Isolation can be deceiving because at first glance it seems manageable. You wake up, go about your day, and think, I'm fine on my own, but as time goes on, cracks begin to form. Those cracks may appear as moments of hesitation when you face a challenge with no one to lean on, or in those quiet evenings when you realize you have no one to call just to share a thought or a feeling. For a woman with no friends, the absence of connection can create an echo chamber in her mind where doubts grow louder and fears seem larger. Without someone to balance her perspective, she might start believing those doubts are truths. But let me tell you this, they're not truths. They're shadows that appear bigger in the absence of light. And that light, more often than not, is found in the company of others who see her potential and remind her of it when she forgets. It's important to recognize how society often romanticizes independence, especially for women. We hear phrases like, you don't need anyone else to be happy, or you're strong enough on your own, and while there's truth in being self-reliant, there's also danger in taking that idea too far. Independence should never mean isolation. It's one thing to stand strong on your own, it's another to believe you must walk through life completely alone. Strength is not about shutting others out, it's about knowing when to let them in. Building friendships, particularly as an adult, can feel like an uphill battle. It's not like the days in childhood when making a friend was as simple as sitting next to someone in class or sharing a toy on the playground. Now, schedules are full, responsibilities are demanding, and social dynamics are more complex. But just because it's harder doesn't mean it's impossible. It simply requires more intention. Intention is a powerful word here. To build connections, you must be deliberate. You can't sit back and hope friendships will fall into your lap. You have to create opportunities. That might mean stepping out of your comfort zone to attend a community event or initiating a conversation with someone who seems interesting. It might mean showing up consistently in spaces where you can meet like-minded people, whether that's a book club, a fitness class, or a professional network. For some, the hardest part is overcoming the fear of rejection. What if they don't like me? What if they think I'm awkward or boring? These thoughts are natural, but they're also unproductive. Rejection is not a reflection of your worth, it's simply a mismatch. Not every connection will turn into a deep friendship, and that's okay. The key is to keep trying, because the right friendships, the ones that feel easy and fulfilling, are worth the effort it takes to find them. Let's talk about reciprocity for a moment. A healthy friendship is built on give and take. It's about being there for someone else just as much as you'd like them to be there for you. For a woman with no friends, this might feel daunting at first. After all, if you've been on your own for a long time, it's easy to fall into the habit of focusing solely on your own needs and struggles. But true connection comes when you shift your mindset and start asking, how can I add value to someone else's life? How can I be the kind of friend I want to have? This doesn't mean overextending yourself or giving to the point of exhaustion. It's about small, meaningful gestures, listening when someone needs to talk, remembering their birthday, or simply checking in to ask how their day is going. These actions might seem minor, but they create the foundation of trust and care that every friendship needs to thrive. At the same time, it's important to set boundaries. Friendship isn't about losing yourself to someone else's needs. It's about creating a space where both people feel supported and respected. Boundaries ensure that the relationship remains healthy and that neither person feels taken advantage of. They allow you to show up as your best self without sacrificing your own well-being. For a woman who has spent years without close friendships, the idea of letting someone see her vulnerabilities can feel terrifying. But vulnerability is where connection lives. It's in the moments when you admit you're struggling, or when you share a dream you've been too afraid to say out loud. It's in the courage to let someone see the parts of you that aren't polished or perfect. And when you do, you give them permission to do the same. That's how trust is built slowly over time, through shared experiences and mutual understanding. Let's not forget that friendships, like all relationships, go through seasons. There will be times of closeness and times when life pulls you in different directions. And that's okay. The strength of a friendship isn't measured by how often you see each other, it's measured by the depth of the connection you share. True friends can pick up right where they left off, even after months or years apart. For those who are observing a woman with no friends, your role is equally important. You have the power to extend an invitation, to include her in conversations, to make her feel seen and valued. It's easy to assume that someone who seems distant prefers to be alone, but more often than not, they're just waiting for someone to make the first move. Be that person. You might be surprised at how much joy and fulfillment you find in the process of building a connection with someone who needs it. There's also an element of grace in this journey, grace for yourself and for others. Building friendships takes time, and there will be missteps along the way. You might say the wrong thing or misread someone's intentions. But mistakes are part of the process. What matters is your willingness to learn and to keep showing up. Let me remind you that every woman, no matter her past or present circumstances, deserves friendship. She deserves to laugh until her sides hurt, to cry on someone's shoulder without judgment, to share her victories and have them celebrated. She deserves to feel that sense of belonging that comes from knowing there are people in her life who truly care. And if she doesn't have that yet, it's never too late to start creating it. Life is richer when shared. The joy of a good conversation, the comfort of knowing someone has your back, the inspiration that comes from seeing the world through someone else's eyes, these are the moments that make life beautiful. They're the moments that remind us why we're here and what really matters. If you're listening to this and you see yourself in the woman with no friends, know this: you are not alone in your feelings and you are not beyond connection. Take that first step, however small it may seem. Smile at a stranger. Join a group. Reach out to someone you've lost touch with. Every step you take brings you closer to the connections you crave and deserve. The journey might be long, but every journey starts with a single step. And you, my friend, are more than capable of taking it. As you continue on this path toward connection, remember that building genuine relationships is not just about finding people to fill the void of loneliness. It's about enriching your life and the lives of others. Each person you meet carries a unique story, a different perspective, and a set of experiences that can open up new worlds for you. The friendships you cultivate are not merely about companionship. They are opportunities for growth, learning, and shared joy. Every new friendship teaches you something about yourself, whether it's about your values, your limits, or your capacity for empathy and care. The challenge is not always in meeting people, but in keeping an open heart as you navigate the complexities of human connection. Life has a way of changing us, of reshaping who we are and what we value, and sometimes those shifts can make it feel like the people we once knew no longer align with who we've become. That's okay. Change is a natural part of life. What matters is that we remain open to new connections, that we allow ourselves the vulnerability to trust again, and that we continue seeking out those who will walk with us on our evolving journey. And it's important to remember that it's okay to let go of relationships that no longer serve you. Friendship, like any relationship, should be a two-way street. It's not about keeping people in your life out of obligation or fear of being alone. It's about mutual respect, understanding, and support. If a friendship has grown one-sided, or if it no longer brings you peace, it's okay to step back and make room for those relationships that bring you joy and growth. At times, you may feel the weight of loneliness even after building new friendships, and that's normal. Relationships take time to form deep roots. But every moment you spend investing in others, every time you reach out and make someone feel valued, you are creating the foundation for something beautiful. It's not about the quantity of friendships, it's the quality, the depth, and the authenticity of the connections you make. Let yourself be present in each moment, in each conversation, and in each new friendship that blooms. Even the smallest interactions can lead to the most meaningful connections. Don't rush the process. Friendship is not a race, it's a journey, and it's one that's worth every step. In the end, the journey from isolation to connection is one of courage, vulnerability, and intention. For a woman with no friends, it's a path of rediscovery, learning to value yourself enough to open up to others, to make the effort to build relationships, and to embrace the beauty of shared experiences. Friendships are not just about filling an empty space, they are about enriching your life, expanding your perspective, and reminding you that you are not alone in the world. For those who notice the woman walking alone, your kindness, your willingness to reach out, and your openness to building new connections can change her world in ways you may never fully understand. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, can spark a transformation. Friendship is a gift, a treasure that not only shapes who we are, but also who we become. And while the road to connection may have its challenges, it is always worth the effort. Because when we walk through life together, sharing our joys, lifting each other through struggles, and offering the support we all need, we create a richer, fuller existence for ourselves and for those around us. The first step may be small, but every step after that brings you closer to a life of deeper connection, true friendship, and lasting fulfillment.